The market went down big today, snapping a 9-day winning streak, the longest in 2 days. And it actually started out with everyone thinking it was going to become day number 10. But then Powell started to speak at 1 p.m. and you just see a vertical line straight down, and then the losses continued. The S&P finished down 0.8%. The NASDAQ almost 1%. And we talked about this yesterday in a video. We did our video yesterday and we talked about, listen, 9-day winning streaks. These things don't continue on. Things are very frothy. Mo, what was NVIDIA just 2 weeks ago?
It got to an intraday low of 398.
And today it's at 475. And I think it was up today still.
It was up today. And it closed that day like in the 400s. So it was right around that 400 level. And today it's 478.
Guys, no one has a clue where the market's going to go in the short run. Absolutely zero clue. But there is one thing we know for sure. The market's overpriced. Now you might sit there and say, Paul, you've been saying this for a long time. Clearly you're wrong. I don't blame you. But as of today, as of this morning, the market is over 65% overvalued. When you go back in history, you look at every reliable metric on the market, we are overvalued. In fact, today, just yesterday, I was looking at an article about the valuation of tech versus the market, and we are above what we were in 2000, the tech bubble. It is literally called the tech bubble. This is unbelievable. Now, guys, markets can stay irrational longer than anyone can stay solvent. And this has been going on for a long time. I share with our community every single day the stock market to GDP ratio going back to 1929. This is the longest we've had of overvaluation in excess of 30% in history.
Yeah.
That should just scream something, shouldn't it, Mo?
Yeah, that to me just straight up worries me.
Yeah.
It doesn't tell me a crash is going to come. It doesn't, or it's just going to keep, it just tells me that's worrisome.
You know, we hear stories about banks. Banks back in March, they had these issues with their maturities and their loans. All these banks bought long-term maturities, 5, 6, 7 years on bonds. And when rates skyrocketed the way they did, those bonds lost value. And it caused several banks to go under. And then you know what happened? The government changed the rule. They still have these issues now.
Yep.
We have a personal friend of ours who just lost his job at a bank in the last few days because of these kind of losses of trying to hoard cash and make sure they stay solvent, a very large bank.
Right.
These are big things. Now, we're not doomsdayers here. We look at down markets as opportunities. Just today, I owned Generac about 2 weeks ago. Don't buy it because I bought it. I bought it about $82 or $83 a share. I'm actually upset that the stock is up. This is not BS. And I want you to join me in that frustration. I want you to love a company so much that you sit there on your hands and knees and pray every single night and say, Dear Lord, watch over my family, make sure they're happy and healthy, and please let stocks go down. That's where I am. Literally, Mo brought it up we were talking about today, and I just got this pit in my stomach like, I just bought my first shares of Generac.
Yeah.
I was hoping it'd go down further. Mm-hmm. And it went from 83 to skyrocketed to 105 at one point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't even know where it is right now.
$102.85.
Well, at least it's starting to go back down, hopefully.
Going back to the banks, I think there's a lot of people not talking about the unrealized losses that they're taking too.
And
these are just it's just another layer on there that people aren't talking about and are not thinking about when they think about where we are in this market cycle.
Yeah, and you look at the economy. I mean, yeah, you know, people say bull markets don't end because of age, recessions don't. Yeah, and guess what? If the U.S. government keeps printing money, they can kick this can down the road further. But eventually something bad has to occur. Whether it's like Japan, which hit its all-time high in 1989 in the Nikkei and has not been there since. My brother's life has not seen the numbers when he was born on the Nikkei index in Japan. He was born in June of 89.
Yeah.
Neither of you.
No, I've never seen it.
And you were born in September of 88. Mm-hmm. Guys, again.
Talking about the rates real quick, we talk about the inverted yield curve. Today, the 2-year is sitting at 5.03. The 10-year is sitting at 4.63.
So what does that mean, guys? That means that people perceive the short run to be more risky than the long run. And the last 8 or 9, 10 times this has happened, it has led to recession.
Yeah. And that is in the next 12 to 18 months after the inversion, July 6th of 2022
yeah,
was the inversion.
So we're in month 17 now.
Exactly.
16. So people might be sitting there saying it's not going to happen. And maybe it is different this time.
Might be different this time.
But who always says? 4 most dangerous words in investing are, it's different this time.
Yeah.
So what we're trying to accomplish here is we're trying to teach a process. And that process can be applied to anything you invest in. but we want to teach you the emotional aspect of saying, I love it when stocks go down. We want you to get tingly when you see your favorite stocks go down, because it gives you an opportunity to buy a great company at a better price. But don't think for a second that we think 1% is buying the dip. This is nothing. We want big time. You know, I see the CNN fear index and they're like, oh, extreme fear. I'm like, come on. Extreme fear is nobody's owning stocks. People are like, listen, you're crazy if you own individual stocks.
Yeah, actually, talking about the fear indicator, it was up 6% today. That's the VIX index.
The VIX index.
Up 6% today.
And it was down at one point earlier today.
Yeah.
Of course.
Definitely.
And
earlier this morning, before Powell spoke, I haven't looked at it, but I bet you it was
What's it
down.
at right now?
Right now, it's at 1532. Let me go check.
It was below 14. It was below 15.
There you go.
And I look at today, and I think, and the historical average for the VIX is 19 or 20. So guys, again, not trying to be doom and gloom, because I guarantee you that when the markets and everybody's saying you should not own stocks, we'll be the ones saying, yes, you should. Go back 2 years ago. Look at the companies we sat there and said, avoid these because they're fugazis. Workhorse, Nikola, Tattooed Chef, Peloton, all these ones we sat there and said, why would you buy this company?
What were we looking at today? Stitch Fix. We're looking at in the car over here.
$96 was all-time high. It's
$2.99.
$2.99. Now, we didn't talk about Stitch Fix years ago. I don't think so.
We didn't.
But there were so many companies we sat there and said, these are obviously just stupid companies.
You were talking about Blue Ribbon.
Yeah, Blue Apron.
Blue Apron, sorry. Blue
yeah,
Apron.
Blue Ribbon's the ice cream company.
That's it, yeah.
Blue Apron. They've sat there and said, we might not even be a going concern, which means might not even stay in business unless we get this merger happening.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, when you see a market that fluctuates on what Jerome Powell said, we're not confident that policy is tight enough, and it swings that much, don't you think that's a little problematic? And when you look at some of these charts, you're seeing these, are you on my screen right now? You're seeing these levels of just, it can't break through this resistance. And I've told you today, I think it's a short covering rally. There's no reason that you should not be breaking through these levels. And if you can't, it tells me that there's volume not there. If there's volume not there, it means that there's not real buyers there. It's people covering their shorts from the big fall that we recently had. And the S&P went from a high of basically 437 down to 409. You don't think people were in there shorting?
Yeah.
And then they're just getting rid of their shorts. It goes right back up.
And by the way, guys, don't forget, when the first rate hike occurred in March of 2022, what was that? 20 months ago, we're basically at where the market was. In the last 2.5 years, we're basically at the market was. We've had flat market for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
But we have these magnificent seven that have absolutely crushed it. The NASDAQ is up 30% year to date, even with recent losses.
Yeah, they've carried it.
They've absolutely carried this.
They carried it just like the FANGs have carried it for the last 10 years.
And the same thing happened in 2000 with the tech bubble. It was all these big companies, big tech companies carrying all these things.
Yeah, exactly.
At some point, guys, I think this market's frothy. I've looked like an idiot for a while.
I look at it like a house. Say you have a house and it's on stilts and you have 500 stilts holding up that house. You have 7 left. I'm not betting on that house to keep standing.
Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of people talking about undervaluation in small caps.
Yeah.
I don't know. Listen, I don't look at small caps very much. I personally prefer to look at larger cap businesses that are going to be around for a very long period of time and buy them when they're cheap. So I won't make as much money as buying small caps, but I'm okay with that because I want to sell options on them, et cetera. I want to trade them, et cetera.
Yeah. And if you're the average person not buying individual stocks, keep going into your ETFs. Keep dollar cost averaging. Don't change your plan right now just because it might be getting scary.
Because it's been overvalued for a very long time, guys. Very, very long time. I currently own 14 stocks and I hope to own 30 or 40. My goal is not to have 5 or 6 or 7 stocks. My goal is to own 30 undervalued companies that have long-term prospects that I can understand. That's it. And that works for me. The good news is our process can work for anybody no matter what you're trying to buy. But right now, the market is overvalued. Every reliable metric in history. Reliable. Don't tell me forward earnings. Don't tell me any one-year earnings. I don't want to hear it. Those are not reliable metrics based on the future. 10-year cyclically adjusted PE ratio, price to sales ratio, the stock market GDP ratio. For those of you who say, well, Paul, stock market GDP ratio doesn't factor in money abroad. Take GMP, take the 10-year PE ratio, which all it cares about is what are the earnings of the company no matter where it's earned, is actually more overvalued than the stock market GDP ratio. Because inflation helps that GDP number go up and up and up.
Yep.
So guys, I think for the next 5 or 10 years, you're going to see very low returns compared to history. And that's okay.
You've already seen it in the last 2.
2.5 years of flat,
there
nothing.
You go.
So for our ETF investors, Keep dollar cost averaging no matter what happens. The next 5 or 10 years will be lower returns, but you're gonna be so happy that all the way down, you've dollar cost averaged in those ETFs, and you're gonna make a ton of money when the next big bull market comes, because guess what? Here's a secret. It'll come eventually. And when it comes, it'll be glorious, and you'll be so happy you did that. Thank you very much.